A Newlyweds Guide to Fortune and Murder. Book 6 in the Countess of Harleigh mystery series. Hey, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina. This is where we read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, no fancy smancy stuff going on here. So, we have our Countess of Harleigh, Frances, who technically is an American, and her parents from New York wanted her to marry a title. And even though she met George up 10 years ago, her parents wanted her to have a title, and they married her to a guy with a title so she could be a countess. However, the guy with the title was a dick, and he ended up dying. And all the money that went to her parents left her own money. And so her husband's family wanted that money, and they didn't get it. They tried to take her to court to fight it, but they didn't get it because it was her money. It was for her use and her use only. So she has a few dollars. So anyway, a couple of books ago, she remedied that fact and she married George to begin with. So her and George are married, and she has Rose, her daughter from her first marriage. And who knows if they'll become a child from George and Frances. We don't know. She's not that old yet. And Bridget is her maid, and Rose is the daughter. And we don't see Graham or Jenny too much, but we have George, her husband, and Fiona, his sister. And then we meet the Ashleys. Mrs. Esther wants Frances to check on Miss Winstead because she's been trying to see Miss Winstead for a few months since Miss Winstead's husband died, but the family tells her she's deathly ill and is not up to visitors. So, Frances decides, and her and Miss Esther stir up the fact that Kate Stover is staying at the Winstead's house, and they make up this thing that Miss Winstead would like Miss Frances to prepare Miss Stover for a visit to make her come out to the Queen. And when Kate gets there and sees that Miss Winstead may be poisoned, or she may be drugged on the lodging, and she suspects the nurse, she suspects the family. We've got all these suspects going on. She even suspects Kate for a while when she discovers that Kate is an actress and she's playing in a play in town. She's an understudy. She only plays once or twice a week, but that is enough to get her noticed. And Frances takes her to a party. It's like, no one will notice you. You know, people don't notice. Well, she gets noticed, and that leads to a little angst there. So we have Jonathan Ashley is the new Viscount. That is Miss Winstead's stepson. He was Peter's son from his previous marriage. Miss Winstead was the second marriage. And her husband, Peter, was an archaeologist, and he did a lot of exploring. And Miss Winstead funded her husband's exploration because he didn't have too much money of his own. She also brought money to the marriage, her own money. And it was hers own. She owned the house that they lived in. It was funded by her money. So we don't know, that the kids don't know that it's not. They're not waiting for the Miss Winstead to die so that they can inherit the fortunes. They don't know that they are not the heirs of Miss Winstead's. They don't know that. So Frances decides she's going to move into that house to check on them. Yes, ma'am. Can I help you? What? So you run. So Kate decides to move in, and she wants to keep an eye on Kate because she's not sure. She goes, excuse me, but I saw you at the theater. Are you who you say you are? And she's like, yes. but she wants to be an actress, and her aunt knows that she wants to be an actress. But because the lady is drugged to the hilt, you can't ask her any questions. Then there's also the fact that, like I said, her husband was an archaeologist, and his notes are missing. And you see, he donated, let's say 100. I don't know the exact number, but let's just say he donated 100 archaeological artifacts to the British Museum. Well, the book is the documentation to provide provenance, to actually prove this item is what it looks like, that it's the real deal, that he found it where he found it, and all the documentation and information that goes with it. And that book is missing. So they try and do a search for it, and Kate goes, "Oh, look, I have the book, but I don't trust you, so I'm not going to let you take it, so we're going to hide it." And then after conversation with George, because George is supposed to get the book back for the museum, Frances goes back to look for the book, and it's not where they left it. It's missing. So who stole the book? Who knew they were looking for it? Who? So then we've got, like I said, we've got the Viscount. And then we've got the other child from the marriage is Simon and his wife Violet. And it was a little pet peeve here, that they kept calling Simon S.I. and Violet V.I. She didn't want to type out Violet. And that was just a little pet peeve of mine. I was like, a few more letters. So that was a little pet peeve that they were, and that was, and then, so they do all this investigating, and then they get Hetty, Frances's aunt, to, when the nurse that's caring for Miss Winstead, gets murdered because she knows too much, Hetty decides that she's going to go in and pretend to be Miss Winstead's nurse to help find out who's poisoning her. And Gilliam, Hetty's new boyfriend, who also owns theaters and does a lot of acting, he pretends to be the doctor. And they go in and... That must have been interesting. So anyways, so who is poisoning Miss Winstead? What's going on with Miss Winstead? Who gets her fortune? And whose jewelry is Jonathan pawning? Well, not pawning. He's going to this guy, and he's taking a real set of jewels and having a complete fake set made. Why is he having this fake set made? Does he need money? Does he have to pay bills? Does he need to sell the real sets, and he can leave the person whose jewelry he stole with the fake set, and they won't know that they were in fake stuff? So who is drugging Miss Winstead? Is Kate have ulterior motives? Do Jonathan or Violet or Simon have motives here for murder? Considering that they believe that they have an inheritance. So what's going on there? And Miss Esther, the lady that started the whole thing, does she know something that she's not telling? And we have Inspector Delaney, of course, who makes his daily rounds. We're getting to see him a little more often. And so we'll see what happens. We shall see what happens. I am anxious. Let's see. This one is next. An art lover's guide to Paris and murder. So probably they go on a vacation. And the current one, a daughter's guide to mothers and murders. And then we might catch up with a Christmas thing that we were doing. We might do this one. And I might do Stolen in Death too. That arrived a while and I've been sitting on it. But I've been wanting to get through these books first. I'm enjoying the heck out of these. They could be considered a Gilded Age. They inspired my If Then. If you haven't seen my If Then from a couple weeks ago, please go watch my Inspired by this book, Gilded Age if them. Don't forget to check out Star Trek recaps on Fridays. Voyager and Next Generation did them both. One of these days, I may go back and do some of the Next Generation episodes that got gobbledygooked on the channel when I was first starting out. The last couple, the really good episodes. Some of my favorite episodes of Next Gen got gobbled out. Flashback Mondays, I could use some ideas on that. We're getting ever closer to current times, and we won't be able to do that anymore. So I could use some ideas, and don't forget the unboxing on Sundays. And so, who is trying to kill Miss Winstead? Is it Jonathan, Simon, Violet? Is it Kate? Is it Miss Plum, the nurse, who knows too much and gets murdered herself? What's Miss Esther got to do with it all? So what you think? Where's my gal pal? She left. So anyways, you have a good day.